On the peaceful world of Ember, the Alliance of Nations prospers, free of scarcity and injustice, a utopia for all. This could all be destroyed when the Galactic Empire invades. All that stands between the Empire and the Alliance are the brave adventurers of the Exploration Corps, searching the galaxy for allies and technology. Power to defend the Alliance. Power to protect Utopia. Good evening, friends and comrades. Welcome back to the 5e Frontier. My name's Patrick, and I'll be running our D&D session that we will be playing for all of your enjoyment today. Joining me in this game of Dungeons and Dragons, allegedly the world's greatest role-playing game, we have Brad.
Oh, so I'll be playing Garrett Wilt.
Wonderful. And we also have Simon.
Hello, I'll be playing Rowie Watana, the mission specialist.
And last but certainly not least, we have Murat.
Hi everyone, I'll be playing Zitai, and I'll also be Dismas in the chat.
Wonderful. We are still missing Jord, unfortunately. He is, as I understand it, just arriving back from his holiday in Cuba today. He'll be back with us next week. So we'll have lots more fun and hijinks from Ensign Cowardice Knapdale starting next week. But he shall be NPC'd today for the final week. So, the game we're playing today is a science fiction hack of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, written by myself. It aims to capture and simulate all of the themes and all the themes that you find in classic science fiction. So you've got your blaster rifles, you've got your spaceships, you've got your shields, and you've got your faster than light travel, but also you've still got your magic missiles, and you've still got your fireballs. So our brave adventurers have crash landed on a moon of a gas giant. When their ship was shot down by some unknown force while it was performing an aerobraking maneuver, causing all hands to abandon the ship. Their escape pod was separated from the others, while all of the escape pods were scattered across the planet. And they're just having crash landed on a tropical beach. The party have found their way to what is, to civilization. The civilization here seems to be far more technologically primitive than they're used to from their various homeworlds. They seem to be somewhat vaguely Bronze Age. Your mileage may vary. But more importantly than their comparative technological primitiveness, the locals who in this village that the party have ended up in are all lions. They're not anthropomorphic lions, they're just intelligent lions. They get by using, they're able to use tools by using these mechanical hands that they, almost like prosthetics, that they strap to their forearms. The party have been given the hospitality of this tribe while they try to figure out who they are and where they came from. It seems that the tribe don't really buy that they're from space or beyond the sky, or however it was put over to them. So they've decided that they're just going to keep them here for a little bit, and then then they will trade their crashed escape pod, which they will lead the lions to, for safe passage to another village, which will be able to treat some serious injuries they have. They also learned last week about Sovereign's game. So Sovereign, it appears, is a dragon that lives on this island and terrorizes the local population by forcing them to play this game. In this game, each tribe, all of the tribes have distributed amongst them these large crystal orbs, perhaps 2 feet in diameter, very large, difficult to move. Whichever tribe has the fewest orbs at the end of several years will be decimated by Sovereign. I mean that in a technical way. One in 10 of the tribe's population will be systematically killed. Nobody feels able to stand up to this, though, so everybody's forced into playing the game. The lions fear that they're going to be raided soon, in the next few days. So they don't want to go anywhere with the party until that raid has been seen off. So the party are stuck here in a village, about to be raided, unable to close the bargain that they've made for safe passage to the next village, which will be able to heal them of their injuries. They also met a human in the village. There are some humans in this village, called Musaid, who is from this village, where they have the healing magic appropriate to heal the wounds of the players, to heal their ailments. But he's in the same boat as them. He can't leave just yet because the raids are on the way. Sovereign's game approaches. So with that rather lengthy recap aside, I think we'll jump into the game. We'll pick the game up, I think, in the evening of the same day that you met the headman of the village. You've been given this. You're still in the same accommodation you had before, like a large yurt with like some bedrolls in it, essentially, and a fire pit which vents out through a hole in the roof. The only difference now is that the door isn't locked from the outside. You can come and go as you please. It's relatively late in the evening. You've been supplied your food for the day. It's relatively similar to yesterday. There's a lot of fruit, a few large chunks of meat, and a sort of like they've also included this time a strange sort of flatbread as well in the sack as well. So you have some flatbread as well. I guess the fire's going. Do you have anything to talk about regarding the state of play? What are we all doing at this juncture?
Well, I don't know if I'd be in the actual yurt because I was watching a furnace at this time.
Yes, you promised that one of the humans in the village that you'd watch his charcoal furnace to make sure it doesn't collapse. But I think he only needed you to watch it for the next 8 hours or so, and that was this morning. So I think for convenience, we'll say that you've just finished your watch there, and you're just entering the yurt at this point.
Okay, well that's easy.
Having sat past 8 hours on a 2-legged stool,
Yeah,
specifically designed such that if you fall asleep, you're gonna fall over.
yeah. But yeah, so I'll walk in, groggily go, morning guys.
Well done. It's evening.
Yes, evening guys. Sorry, long watching furnace. Furnace watching.
Okay.
Furnace watching.
Well, we learnt what the raids were about.
Ah. Yeah, to enlighten.
There's a dragon that puppeteers everyone into fighting over those orbs that we saw at the tree when we were bargaining for our lives.
Okay.
Person with the least amount of orbs, or the tribe, loses 1/10 of their tribe. Just straight up murdered.
Shit. That sounds barbaric.
Yeah. Yeah. They lost the Empire's oppression and found a new one.
That's not good. What are we doing?
Well, as long as we're stuck here, we're probably gonna have to help the Lions fight off the raid, and then we'll head up with Malik's people. Like, we'll stick to the game plan. It's just we'll have to do a show of faith and at least help defend the orbs here.
But is that right? Like, well, what if this is like the smallest tribe?
It's not. Not smallest, I don't know. Like, we don't have time to survey everyone, and it doesn't matter how big the tribes are. This is the one that's currently showing us hospitality.
I don't know. I don't know what the rules are.
As far as we can gather, there are rules to this game. Seems like a tribe was, also lost the game along with the normal loser of the game by creating deals and pacts between tribes to. It was seen as against the spirit of it.
Right. But what if they think outside help's the same?
Exactly. I think as long as we don't, as long as we don't use blasters and make a show of ourselves, use similar weapons to what the locals use, we should be okay.
But it doesn't feel right that we're gonna kill other people.
Well, we can aim to not kill. We can aim to just scare off. I'm sure we don't need to be in the thick of it if we can engineer it that way. We just need to do enough that caretakers are not going to be angry with us.
Okay. Well, it's up to you, Garrick. I don't know the Cerulean, the Emberian laws on this, so I'll happily do what's needed.
But
Yeah.
long term, we kill Sovereign, right?
If we can.
But
I
Sovereign's
think to
Like
get off
these-
this planet, that might need to be done.
Sovereign's a dragon.
Yeah. I didn't say it was going to be easy,
That's
but
impossible.
we might have no other way off the planet.
It's not impossible. It has been done before.
By like gods of heroes, like the most powerful like people. Like I like to think I'm pretty good at my craft, but I'm not that skill level. And no offense, guys, I don't think you are either. Like you're not to High King Julius's standards.
Oh, it's
Nowhere near.
not about any individual being that strong. There are 10 tribes out there, Rowie. And God knows how many survivors from the Sojourner.
That sounds like unbeatable odds to me.
Never tell me the odds.
I think that the discussion of killing a dragon should probably be left until we're safe and healthy.
Okay.
Our more immediate problem is surviving this raid, and then hopefully keeping enough goodwill to head to the next village and get everyone healed of that botfly infection.
That sounds preferable. But Garrick, just let me know how I can help.
Of course, just keep on doing what you're doing. Speak to the villagers, learn anything that you can. That's been what we've been trying to do, at least. Any leg up we can get is something we can run with.
I'm currently checking if the soil can be used to make metal. If there's any ore in the earth around us.
Oh, that does remind me. I do have something for you, although probably not for the use that you think it might have. Here, I'll like hand over the alcohol.
I go, cheers.
Yes, we found a place that serves this this sort of alcohol. I was wondering if you could distill it down to make ethanol.
I'll smell the beverage you gave me, I guess, and to see how potent it is.
It's quite pungent. Like it almost stings your nose, but not seriously. In the same sort of way that a strong wine might. It seems to be reasonably strong, but not incredibly so. Like if you were to hold a flame to it, for example, it's unlikely that it would catch fire as it is now. But you know, you wouldn't want to drink 3 or 4 pints of the stuff.
Right. I go. Right. So you want me to make this stronger?
Well, my auto bow is ran off ethanol. The more fuel I have, the longer it can run.
Yes, I didn't think about your bow. I thought you were going to get the enemy drunk.
That could be one way to do it, but we need a lot more than that.
It's going to be hard to create a still before the raid.
Yes, of course. It's not something we need to do now. I have enough to run my weapon for a short while, but in the long run, it's something that will be needed if it's going to continue to be used.
Okay. I would have to sit down with. Well, are there glass blowers here? I'm not sure I've seen any.
No, you've not seen
I've not
anybody
spotted
working
it.
glass. No.
But unfortunate, not something I know how to do. So it might be a case of looking into what the other tribes are like.
Yeah. And the way they kind of use metal, it's so few and far between. I doubt we'll be able to make metal vessels. It would just be too costly.
Unless we travelled up to that northern tribe that
Yes.
has a monopoly on it.
Yes. We never know. The island tribe and the Malik people may have glass tools. If it's an island, there may be more sand. So it is a resource.
Be worth looking into at least.
Yes. I tend to agree. I will think on it, Garrick. Fingers crossed we can come up with something.
Thank you. Yes, I think at least tomorrow, if the raid isn't happening then, we should probably do our best to learn more about this game. See if there are any unwritten rules that we can learn.
I think we need to be careful about how much we ask about the game. Malik wasn't happy about us asking about it.
Yes. I'll still have to be careful, but we need information. Anything about other tribes or this game, or the land itself, will be good here.
think I'm gonna find a bedroll and like lie down for a bit.
Yeah, fair. Rest your knees.
That's it.
Yeah. Does Zitai have anything he wants to do particularly?
He's basically just thinking about what resources he's seen that like this village has access to for him to assist in the raid.
What sort of resources are you thinking?
Anything that can be used to build like traps for like someone who happens to be charging a tree.
Well, they have timber and they have ropes. They have plenty of that stuff. Um, they have a lot of bone and antler tools as well. All of that can be sharpened. They do have some metal, mostly brass, bronze. Sorry, mostly bronze. Um, so maybe you could make something out of that. Maybe like if you could treat it like heat treat it properly, you could make a sort of spring maybe. At the very
Okay.
least, bushings so things can slide past each other.
They have wood that's of the right quality to make bows, right? So something that's got flex and spring to it.
Yeah, yeah, they have bow wood. Yeah,
At the moment, Zitai is kind of just formulating the most rudimentary catapult he can.
sure. Um, Give me a engineering check. Mechanical, I think, is probably best here.
Wonderful. It's +3. That's 12.
12. So with your 12, like you have a think about what you could do. Like as long as you've got wood and rope, you could always make some sort of trebuchet. But that takes a long while to build, and even longer to like test and fine tune to make sure it runs efficiently. They're difficult. Um, you could make a catapult, some kind of perhaps torsion fed catapult, or as you say, use a spring loaded catapult. Um, it's the question is whether you'd have enough material to like enough good quality material to be able to make such a thing. Um, you could build one by essentially like attaching 100 bow staves to something, but building those bow staves will take a long time in itself. Um, you could do something with twisted hides, twisted leather. But again, it depends on whether you can get your hands on the materials and craft it into what you need in time. It also depends on because
Yeah, okay.
if
If
they
he
come
thinks he can't do it, then he's just going to be hanging around the tree.
yeah. The other thing is it depends on how the raid is going to happen. Like if they're dispersed groups of people just running into the village from different directions, a catapult's not going to do you a great deal of good. Um, but something like like a ballista might do you a little bit of good. So knowing what the opposition is may factor into what sort of siege weapon you want to build if you want to build one. It'll
Okay.
in principle, you've like they have material enough for you to build one. The question is whether they have it in close enough to the right shapes for you to be able to build one at short notice, which is something you'll have to find out tomorrow.
Okay.
What about Garrick?
Um, yeah, like I think I'll just go over our weapons. I think,
Cool.
because I don't really want to use any blasters or anything in this because I don't want to stand out too much.
Sure.
Um, so I think like any weapons we can make, like out of the items we have on hand, is probably best here. So I'll be like sorting all the stuff out, like all the claws, all the teeth, all stuff like that, off to one side, so we can start making stuff if need be.
Sure. That's fine. What about Rowie?
So I'll lean up and go, well, they're the, like, other island people, aren't they? Like, so they're probably going to come up the river. So I think the easiest way to disperse them would be to make a river block. Like, quite easily just tie a rope across the river about just above water height to stop boats going upriver.
I mean, if we did something like that, we'd also have to defend it, right? Because they could just
Yes,
go up and cut it.
but if you put it under the water, it's hard to see, and it would significantly slow any boats because they wouldn't know what the fuck happened.
I guess, yeah.
So like, we used to use it to store boats, but I guess stopping invading boats, it'll do the same thing.
Yes. I do think though, any plan like that, we'd need to probably run by so probably running river, to be honest, to see if it goes against the spirit of the game.
Yeah,
I
I guess so.
defending your robes isn't going to be against the spirit, is it?
Well, my current theory here is there are no defenses around this tree. It's in plain view, not even on a hill. The only defense it has is on the river, and that seems to be no problem for these people that are attacking. My suspicion here is that the Sovereign likes open combat. Two forces facing each other, even playing fields. No traps, no tricks. But I could be wrong. So I think before we enact any traps or tricks, we should run it by the people that have been playing this game for longer than we've been here.
We could make it look almost a natural trick. All those dead animals, for example, that fell off the cliff. If we hauled all those into the river, they're gonna float downriver and get stuck in places, making it harder to maneuver through. And we're just using the river as a waste disposal. We're not setting a trap or making a trick. We're just getting rid of rubbish.
No, but we're also putting corpses in fresh water.
Yes, so the water will be useless below where we dump the corpses for a while. However, above where the corpses are, or shortly after where we dump the corpses itself, the water will flow past and clean.
I personally think it's hard to judge because we'll see it as something natural. But will an incredibly cruel and malicious being as this sovereign see it that way?
I don't know. I've never came across anything quite as cruel and malicious as this dragon seems to be. I just know it's hard sailing up a river when there's detritus in the way.
I think it's possibly something we could bring up or do. We'll have to see about it tomorrow, though. I don't fancy travelling out of the bounds of the village at night.
Especially not with our caretakers saying we're not allowed to leave the village.
That is also true.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get some kip up in the morning, and hopefully I get used to that furnace to see if there's metal in the ground. That'll get him on side.
Yeah.
Okay. So if nobody has anything else they want to do in the evening, we'll say you all bed down and go to the next day. So what are we doing the next day then? Shall we start with Rowie?
Yeah. So Rowie will wake up quite early and head over to the furnace. Um, basically.
As you get there, the man who you minded it for a few hours yesterday, he looks just as tired as when you found him the first time, and you can see he's got a large stick and he's knocking the furnace over. He's knocking it down. Um, as it collapses and crumbles, you can hear that characteristic, like almost a jingling sound of perfectly formed, hard, brittle charcoal
Hmm.
forming. And as the dark mud collapses, you can see this large pile of perfectly black charcoal. He seems to be pleased with the result.
So I'll turn around and go, brilliant. It looks like we've been able to form charcoal. Hopefully I helped.
Yes, you did. In fact, I will give me a moment. He rummages around in a pile of belongings he has behind him, and he withdraws this kind of like large basket, the sort that you'd have to like hold in two hands, almost like a big like washing up basket for dirty clothes.
Hmm.
He squats down in that with that flat-footed squat that the humans seem to do from his culture. And he takes big double handfuls and starts filling the pot up. It's quite a big mound of charcoal he's got. Like the furnace was quite tall, like taller, like not quite as tall as Rowie perhaps, but tall as most people. And 5 feet wide. He was making a lot of charcoal. And he fills up so it's piled high. This massive basket, and he says, "For your trouble."
I look at it and I go, oh, thank you. This is amazing. Um, yeah, I'll nod profusely because I never expected this much, but I know I should be able to get a furnace hot enough with all this charcoal.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll help him kind of empty where the furnace was as well. And I'll ask him, would you mind if I build my hot furnace here? Or
He shrugs and says, "You may do as you wish, but the good clay is down the river."
would you mind helping me build said furnace?
So as you wish. Are you firing pottery?
I'm firing earth to make metal, hopefully.
I see. So you're there is no tin or copper here.
There may be iron, which you call sky metal, in the water and the soil as it washes down.
That seems unlikely.
It doesn't seem like abundant, but that just means you'd need more. And the only way I know how to test it is by burning the ground to find out if the ores come out.
Well, I wish you the best of luck.
We'll only need a small furnace for a modest amount of soil to bake, if you don't mind helping.
I will. I will be building a charcoal furnace today, but my I will have my son instruct you in where the clay can be found.
That would be brilliant. Do you have bellows to blow more air in?
Uh, he thinks for a moment. He says, "I you like a blower?
Yes.
Yes."
Um, I would be in need of that to get the temperature hot enough.
He nods. And says, "Well, I I do not have one. It's not needed for the work I do. But I know how to make one. If you would like to learn."
I'll nod and go, yes. If there is metal, you may need to make more.
He nods. And he says, um, "Yes, there's as far as I know, you can make a blower by." And he explains how to out of clay make a device that will blow. Essentially, it's almost like a teapot in design. It's kind of circular, about that big. Comes to a point at one end where there's a hole. There's also a large hole in the top of it. Um, and it seems that you're supposed to insert a stick with a number of leaves attached to it into that hole and then spin the stick around. Um, by the look of it, it creates a vortex inside the chamber, which forces air out of it. Doesn't seem like the most efficient design, but it'll probably work.
Well, they've got leather working here, haven't they?
They do.
And I know the rough design of a bellows is basically a bag that inflates and you can squeeze air through.
Yeah, you could make a traditional bellows as well if you want.
Yeah,
He just hasn't heard. He just doesn't know what that is.
I think I would kind of show him a design kind of thing for a traditional bellows, and ask him where I could get the materials from.
You should go and see the stockpile if you want leather. You must excuse me. I have a furnace to build.
Yeah. So I guess I'd run over to the stockpile and see if they've got the leather for me, because that's a priority. Without bellows, there's no
Yeah,
there's no way I'm getting up to temperature.
yeah. So as you leave, you can see he's two-handed grabbing the rest of it, like the rest of his charcoal, into a big wheelbarrow he's got, um, to cart it away to wherever it's being stored for use later. Um, but yeah, heading over to the stockpile, which is the main tent that smells like meat, like a good butcher shop in the center of the village. Um, you can see that there is a lion, one of the Yoruba as they're called. Um, but there's quite a few. It's quite busy. There's quite a lot of them. But the one that seems to be in charge of the stockpile um, is kind of sitting down outside the front. Sitting down like a cat would, like a domestic cat. Um, she's observed watching people go in, looking at what they've got when they come out. And just to her left, she's got a number of strings with weights attached on the bottom of them, and there looks like there's about 20 or 30 maybe. There's quite a few. They're in like three different rows, and each string in the center of it has a stick that's had a knot tied around it. And every time somebody walks out with a particular item, she puts another turn in the string, using her mechanical hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, she just kind of pays attention to what people are leaving with and makes turns in the stick as appropriate. She kind of you see her eyes glint as she watches you approach.
I guess I'll look around for like someone in charge and see her and go, may I take some leather to make a device to make the furnace hotter?
You see her whiskers twitch.
Um, I obviously don't understand you. I'm hoping you understand me. would you be so kind to use a human nod, if I'm allowed?
She bares her teeth a little. There's a small growl, but using the mechanical hand she's put on, she just points at you and then points inside.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll like toddle off quickly.
Yeah, heading inside, you can see that it's quite the walls of this yurt are very thick, like 5 feet thick. 5 feet thick or so. It's got leather on the outside and leather on the inside by the look of it, but it's filled with like stones and dirt by the look of it. The walls. There's one entrance, one way in, one way out, and it seems like it's being monitored by somebody at all times. There's no way of leaving here without the person on the door knowing what you've taken, unless you hide it on your person somehow. Looking around, there seems to be like the largest part of the stockpile seems to be meat. It's been packaged up by the look of it. It seems to have been cut into chunks and wrapped in this kind of thick, leathery kind of leaf. It's been then tied off with string. You can smell like pungent and potent herbs, which presumably like have some sort of preservative property. Otherwise, the meat would not be good to eat after a few days because it is not refrigerated in here.
Yeah.
You can see also that's in the middle of the room. Around the edges of the room, there are huge piles of various things. You can see that there's there are bones, antlers, like a huge pile of rope that you can see some like one of the lions just cutting a length from and then leaving with it. Notably though, you can see that of the two food stock, like they're of the food stockpile, there are two piles. One, it's divided about evenly at this point. One is kind of fenced off; nobody's allowed to touch it, and the other pile is what is what people seem to be taking from.
Is it the same food?
Yeah, it's the same food. It's just part of it's been cordoned off. The part that's been cordoned off also seems to have, by the look of it, it seems to have some of the more exotic looking fruits in, and you could like it. The smells coming from there are somewhat nicer, and it's got more meat than fruit in it. Whereas the stockpile that you're taking from has more fruit than meat in it.
Right. Okay. That's
So
interesting.
the quality of the food in the stockpile you can't touch seems to be higher.
Yeah. Is there any like leather just lying about, or any organs? Dare I say it?
There are like you can see that there are like there's a rack of maybe like 60 or 70 full aurochs hides that seem to they've been tanned, they've been dried, they've been treated, so they're ready to be worked by the look of it. They're just kind of hanging there. Like you can see people taking cuts of them, whatever they need. It seems to be one on the end that people are taking cuttings from, and the rests are untouched just in case you need a big bit.
Yeah.
No putting random holes in it.
So I'll kind of measure up with a piece of charcoal, kind of what I'd need for the bellows, and cut it out.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but I mean, you do you have a blade?
Well, I've got all the stuff in my bag because I found my bag intact, so I'm guessing I'm gonna have a small like knife in there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you have most of your regular equipment, don't you? So yeah, you're able to take a knife, and cut out the section you need. Like the person look like that was gone. What goes before you sees your steel knife, and that's kingly wealth around here. Like a good steel knife. But yeah, they leave. They don't bother you. And you have your leather.
Yeah. Do any humans come by? Like, are there any humans that come into this shed?
Very occasionally. Like they don't seem to be over or underrepresented as that because they're a small percentage. of the population of the village. They're a small percentage of the people here, so it seems that they just come here when they need stuff, same as the lions do.
Yeah. It's just because I can ask them stuff. I can't ask the lions. Well, I can ask the lions. I just don't understand the response. Um,
They lack the appropriate vocal cords to make the sounds required for humanoid language.
that's it. So I'm going to ask, kind of thing, where the tailor is, so I can sew these pieces together and hopefully glue them together, so to stop air, so it can function as a bellows.
Yep. So there's a young man who's like he's the guy who's just taken some leather before you. He frowns when you ask him that question. He says, "What is a tailor?"
To make clothes or to work leather together.
Well, I made my clothes. Don't you make yours?
No, no, I didn't. What about thread? I need some thread to put these two leather pieces together.
Yes. He points over to where the rope is.
I look at him and go, right. Needle?
Unpick the rope.
What about a needle?
He points over to the pile of bones. Make a needle.
Right. This is a bigger job than I thought, guys. I go, thank you for your help. I'm not very good at this. If you've got time, I'd appreciate your help.
Uh, he. Sorry, I've got lots to do.
I'll nod. Um, and wander over to the rope, take a small chunk of that, so I can make
Yeah.
some thread and find a small bone.
Sure.
Knowing I'm gonna have to kind of cut out a little bit to put the rope through and all this stuff I don't have to think about because I came from a tribal community that did all this, but I went to Ember and this wasn't a thing there.
Yeah, you just, if you need something, you just get it from a shop off an assembly line.
Yeah, it feels like I've gone back to my tribe kind of situation right now.
Yeah. It was tradition. It's traditional in the Tavali people's culture that, generally speaking, everybody kind of knows how to make everything. In the village, people are quite generalist. I guess Rewi might be an exception to this.
Yeah, he's not the well. I'd say he knows how to do it. He just doesn't know how to do it very well. It's not where his education was kind of pointed towards. He'd like to be out and about.
Yeah, you know the basics. Like you've practiced. You've made this sort of thing before. Like you've done some leather work, but you learned it, and then you just didn't do it again. I guess.
Basically, passed the class, and that was that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure everybody can relate to that to a certain extent.
So I'm going to take all these items back to my yurt and start making bellows and yeah.
Sure. Give me a engineering check. I think mechanical would be fine here.
Mechanical engineering.
Yeah, I think given your background, I think you can have perhaps half your proficiency to make this.
Half
Being
my
as you've done it before, but it's been a long while. Well, been a long time.
See, I am proficient in engineering, mainly chemical engineering now.
Yeah, not mechanical, so only half proficiency.
Yeah. So +1, plus my intelligence, I believe, so it's +2. Well, that's a 5.
5. So yeah, you the first thing you do, right, I need to make a needle. So you take this small piece of bone, you look at it, you think, how the hell does this become a needle? It's something to do with getting a flake off it, but then how did you just can't remember probably your mum or your dad taught you that's how it generally goes in the Tavali, but you can't remember how they told you to make the hole in the needle. And then like the needle's got to be quite thick to punch through the leather, right? But like, if it's thick in the middle, like it's doubly thick around the eye. So how does that work? How's that gonna get through? Like, so you spend a few minutes just kind of like sitting and looking at this piece of ivory, but like you can't like see a good like you can't see an easy way of turning this into a needle.
No. I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down all my kind of items, knowing I've got all the right items, and then go hunt out kind of Garrick and Zitai to go, right, I know I need to make a thing. I've got all the things to make the thing, but I don't know how to make the thing.
Sure. So I guess we'll figure out what Zitai is doing with his morning next.
He'll have been taking a general wander around with like a large piece of fruit he can occasionally bite out of, and mostly just scoping the landscape around the tree.
Sure. So as you walk around the tree, around the area, it's really quite open. The terrain slopes gently downwards towards the tree, which is nestled in the crook of a river. Um, the terrain it seems to have been deliberately cleared. This is like the political gathering place of the tribe. Like this is where they do all their politics. The whole population, or at least significant chunks of it, gather here regularly. So it seems to have been like picked specifically for that. It's got the gentle slope downwards in terrain down towards the tree, so people can sit up the hill, almost like a naturally occurring amphitheater, to watch what's going on. Um, the throne is kind of like raised a little, like on a small mound by the tree. Um, and on the opposite side of the river, you can see that the yurts come pretty much up to the shore. You can see on the opposite shore there are there's a small number of humans with fishing nets, just kind of casting them into the river.
Yeah, Zitai is mostly just going to be hanging around, taking all that in by the time that Rowie finds him. Just
Sure.
casually munching an apple, leant up against something.
Yeah. So at some point, you've been hanging around there a little bit. Um, you you see like kind of sitting next to sitting relatively nearby the tree. You can see that there's a lioness sitting there. She's the very handsome one that was doing most of the speaking when the headman when before the headman butted in, and after the lionesses were able to make him simmer down a bit. She was the one doing most of the talking, probably like the actual political power in the tribe. Um, she's like eyeing you suspiciously by the look of it, though it's kind of difficult to tell with her facial features. But she's eyeing you suspiciously. Like, she comes and goes occasionally, but whenever she's here, like she's got her eye on you.
Yeah, Zitai will walk a little closer to her at some point, like stop a good distance away, and like kind of just show open hands next to his hips, so they're not in a high position to be able to bring them down on someone, and kind of just bow his head. I'm just looking at ways to help when the raids come, because I'm going to be here.
Yeah, you see her whiskers twitch disconcertingly, like a cat who can see a bird through a window. You are the bird in this case. Um, like she swishes her tail a couple of times and just kind of like pads away.
And deep breath out. Right, well, that's better than a jaw to the throat. Great. And then just carry on my surveillance, thinking of things I could do with nets at riversides to maybe drown people. I don't know.
Sure. About half an hour after that, you see Running River approaching. He comes, out of one of the roads that goes into the rest of the village. He's got his big satchel by his side. Um, his mane is patchy as ever. Um, and he walk the way he walks is much more like reserved than most of the lions here. Like it's almost like he's ready to like jump out of the way of something. But he comes over to you. He sits down in front of you, kind of looks at you.
Yeah, I'll sit next to him. Everything okay?
He sits down, gets one of his mechanical hands out, gets a piece of leather out and starts writing on it. Um, he he writes, "Why are you hanging around the tree?"
I'm trying to think of ways that I can help your tribe defend it.
So he thinks for a second. Then he erases the writing with a that he made with a small cloth, and taking his piece of bound charcoal, he writes again. Um, he says, "You have my thanks, but your allegiance isn't known fully by most of the tribe. They would probably feel safer if you were to think of ways to help somewhere else."
I see. Thank you.
He nods in that very human body language.
Oh, by the way, Garrick was looking for you. I think he was over on that side of town.
He cocks his head and writes "Y."
Wanted to talk about your culture and the happenings on the planet.
He writes, "Okay, thanks." Then puts it away and leaves.
Yeah, as if I'll take like one last scan and then walk off.
Sure. You head off. Um, so we'll figure out what Garrick's doing now. I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be looking for Running River. I've got a bunch of questions specifically about the game, and I'd feel more comfortable asking him than some random people, seeing as how they reacted last time.
Yeah, sure. So I guess you go looking for Running River in the morning. You can't find him for a while. Um, was there anybody that else that you might ask if you couldn't find him?
Um, hmm. If I can find anyone that looks like extremely friendly, maybe people that may have had a bit too much to drink.
Okay.
People that would have looser inhibitions here.
Sure. Um, so are you just going back to the like? The most of the humans are based on the other side of the river, and they did have a drinking house or something approximating it. It was
Yeah,
a building that had alcohol in it. Are you going back there?
yeah. I think I'd hang around there, and I'd try and like find small groups of people like off to the side. I wouldn't be like sitting in the main area and speaking about Sovereign's game. That might be a bit suspicious.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you pick a couple of blokes who are just sitting down having a quiet conversation towards the edge of the drinking house. The drinking house is essentially two walls and a roof at right angles to each other. There's a long bar with various barrels on it that people are just serving themselves from as and when. Um, yeah, sitting down with them, like they both look at you. One of them Like you recognize this guy from when you were here yesterday, but you'd never spoke to him. Like you just recognize his face. He was here yesterday. Um, he says, "You are back, it seems."
Yes. I quite like this place. Reminds me a bit of home.
He nods, and he says, "Reminds me of home too."
So you not from this village?
He raises an eyebrow.
Fair.
I am not so drunk that I am walking on four legs.
That is true, I guess. I thought this village may have been inhabited by more than one uh,
I've, I've
species, I guess.
I've lived here for perhaps 15 years, but it's not my home. I'm simply here as part of a trade agreement.
Ah, of course.
As are we all.
Yes. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the rumors of where me and my small troop are from.
You're from the Sea People, right?
Hmm. Well,
The other one says, "No, they're from up north.
well,
Look at them, they can't be Sea People."
I can say both of those are wrong, I guess. Um, our our people crashed here. We're from quite far away, you see, not from this anywhere nearby, at least. Not from the tribes that you know about, at least.
Yeah, he shrugs and says, "Well, fair enough."
Better than leading with "we're from space." Um, it's a bit confusing to me hearing about all these raids and things. We don't have those where I'm from.
And you
I've
should
done
go
my
back there.
best. When I can, I definitely will, I think. But it's very confusing, and I don't want to um, step on anyone's toes or anything. But I could do with learning more about these events. Can you tell me anything what I should or shouldn't be doing here? I'm pretty clueless at the moment. I only really know the name of the event and about this. I'll like quieten down and just say the word about this dragon.
Sure, like they kind of cringe visibly when you say that, or at least like not as much as if you'd uttered his name. But there's still like a reflexive horror that these people have. Um, they one of them says, "Well, if Sovereign doesn't know of your people, you should ask no more questions and go back to them."
Fortunately, I'm stuck here for the time being. So, any help you can do that I can avoid this game, or at least do my best to blend in.
He nods. Um, he says, "Well, if you wish to blend in, you are a human and you are here. I advise you don't get involved. Though we have a trade deal that says that we cannot be involved. It is diplomatic, you do not."
So any humans do not get involved in the skirmish.
Well, all humans that are here by the trade deal. You are not by the trade deal, so I don't know.
But if we were to blend in, we shouldn't help.
Well, if you want to blend in with us, then, well, he kind of points at the horns and the flaming red skin
Yes,
and
I
the
suppose.
billowing made of a strange material.
I suppose that is a bit awkward. Perhaps I should change my outfit. Although I can't do anything about the rest of it. Wow. Hmm. So this trade agreement is separate from this game.
Yes,
Okay.
my
And
tribe supplies labor, and the Yoruba supply fine hides and leathers.
of course, is there any other I had to phrase it this way, but rules that I should know about? You say that this trade agreement means you can't interfere with this raid. Are there any other things like that I should be aware of? It seems to me that the orbs are placed in easy to reach places. Uh, if I were to attempt to defend them, I'd put them behind walls.
He shakes his head. He says, "The only rules you need to know about is that anything that Sovereign doesn't happen to like is not allowed."
And
We
I'm
know,
guessing he doesn't like hiding the orbs.
we know from history that he does not like us to hide the orbs.
Are there any things he
None.
doesn't particularly like?
He shrugs. Says, "I don't know. But he likes things to be interesting."
Of course.
In his words. Oh, I saw. That is what the stories say. I've never seen Sovereign, and I hope never to meet this dragon. The other one says, and nor have I. Nor have any of us, I think.
So no one here has met him.
No.
Not even any of the Yorubu.
Perhaps, maybe some of them. There will be some of them who have. Um, whoever is in the delegation to bring tribute to Sovereign. Um, every few years will have met Sovereign, but Sovereign does not leave his lair. I think, at least, if he did, he would not speak to worms like us.
Of course. So he doesn't even come out to punish the losers of this game.
No, they each tribe does it differently. My tribe randomly selects. We draw straws, and 10% of us go to Sovereign. This has not
Course.
happened for many years, though, and I hope it will never happen again.
Of course. You have my sympathies. Well, I think perhaps I've let us all dwell on this topic a bit too long. I'll leave you to your drinks. Thank you.
Yeah, you seem to have thoroughly killed the mood.
Yep.
They don't like stop leaving or anything. They're just staring into their beer.
Yeah, as I leave, I'll I'll say to them, as I guess thanks for this. I can perhaps lighten up your drinks. Can you describe to me, perhaps any uh, any flavour that you find favourable?
One of them says, "A ribeye steak."
Yeah, I'll make his beer taste like a ribeye steak. I'll
Yeah,
cast prestidigitation.
yeah. Like he takes a sip of it, wrinkles his nose a little. He's
Not
very
great in
strong
drink form.
flavored beer.
Yes, not great in drink form, I'm afraid.
Yeah, like you get a laugh out of them though, and I guess I think that the spell, like, once the spell wears off, he'll continue drinking it, and the mood seems to have been saved somewhat.
Yeah, and I'll leave them to their drinks and continue on my journey to find Running River.
Sure. You're able to Running River finds you quite quickly. Um, You see him stepping off the ferry as you're going to the ferry. Um, he sits down, reaches into his bag, and hands you a scroll.
Yep, I'll cast it.
Yeah,
I'm used to this now.
yeah. He's made another scroll of comprehend languages for you. Casting it, you're able to understand what he's saying easily without him having to, write it down every time. He says, "Your your tall companion Rowie. He said that you were looking for me."
Of course, I'd like to ask you some questions about this game, if you don't mind.
Okay, let's go into private. Let's go somewhere private, and you can ask me those questions.
Of course.
He steps onto the ferry, and he says, "Would you mind?" Gesturing at the rope for you to pull them across. He
Of
says,
course.
"It's it's more difficult than it has to be." Holds up the hand.
Yes, I don't mind, of course. Yeah, I'll pull a snake across.
Yeah, he puts the hand away in his backpack, in his knapsack. Like you can see that, like there are a couple of other ferries. Like there are some lions pulling themselves across. It is not elegant, to be honest. It's the most of the time there are humans pulling them to and fro. Again, working here to bring fine leathers and textiles back to their tribe, presumably. Um, but yeah, they once you get to the other side, he leads you off to a small yurt near the center of town, but it is quite small. It's maybe 15 feet across inside. Once he sits down on one side of the room, like there's a pillow, like a big cushion on the other side. On the other side of a very very small fire pit that you can sit on. Like you'd have to sit cross-legged, otherwise, like your feet would be in the fire. Um, so it's kind of a small place, but he sits down and takes his knapsack off and says he moves over to the door, closes it, grabs the handle in his mouth, closes it, um, sits on the ground, and says, "So what do you need to know about this game?"
Well, I know nothing about it. So, how to avoid it, really? We're not from around here. As far as I can tell, the other humans here um, won't intervene when the
No,
raids occur.
they are abiding by the pact. They do not have to engage, and they promise that under the terms of this pact that they, in as individuals, will not attempt to steal one of our orbs. And we have promised not to hold the actions of their tribe against them, should the rest of their tribe choose to.
Of course. Um, so, what should we do? Um, are we required to help you?
You are not required to do so, though I think it would go a long way to ease the suspicions of many of my fellows if you were to contribute to the defense.
Of course, and I've been told that the general rules just relies on this uh, the game creator's whims.
Sovereign, yes.
Yes. It seems like if I bring up sovereign, it's a bit of a touchy subject to most people. So
It is to many, yes. Um, I have a certain amount of scholarly detachment, perhaps. I've spent a great deal of time reading histories.
of course. Um, so do you have any sort of advice that we should take into account? Can we uh, do anything to help trap the area, more thoroughly defend it? Would that go against any of Sovereign's whims?
Building permanent defenses around the orbs is always dangerous. Um, Sovereign will not always punish those who do, but sometimes he will. Um, Therein lies the problem. It is difficult to predict what is against the rules and what is not.
Of course. How about temporary defenses, things like traps or the
It has
like?
been done in the past. Um, the headman does. The headman, um, well, the current headman doesn't respect such tactics. Though, if you were to set something up, then I don't think anybody would stop you. You are already seen as, you know, well, weaklings as humanoids. So it doesn't tarnish your reputations any further to be using traps.
Of course. So, I've been told by the humans that if I wish to blend in, I should. Well, it'd be hard for me individually, but my companions could change their clothes and such.
Uh, their skin tones and their facial features, though they are obviously not of any tribe known to me.
Of course. Um,
Particularly the one called Rewi. He is too tall.
of course. Hmm.
You are
These.
obviously of some new tribe, but so blending in with the existing ones difficult until your tribe is known.
Yes. Uh, hmm. These raids. How often do they happen?
At least once a year, typically. Sometimes more. It depends on the balance of power at the time.
And do these raids only target the orbs? Do they not target food, people?
Sometimes, again, it depends on the balance of power at the time. The sea people who we anticipate will raid us soon, they are known as a raiding people. They are violent by culture and they steal and pillage what they can.
And will they respect this pact you have with the other humans? Will they not raid them individually?
They may.
And they'd be fine to defend themselves in this instance.
Yes. We are under no obligation to defend them.
Okay. Um,
Though I should say, in the spirit of the deal we have made with them, we will do our best, but we're not going to take any undue risks in their defense.
of course. How lethal are these raids? Will they aim to kill
Yes.
to get these orbs?
Yes, they will. If they did not, then Sovereign would punish them.
So it seems like these raids must be lethal.
It's more that they must. It's not that they must be lethal, I think. Given the histories, it seems more that they must be. They must be done seriously.
So it can't just be a show. They
Yes.
need to go earnestly after the orbs.
Yes. And to be completely frank, we will kill them in order to defend the orbs. Because if they take the orbs and we are left with none, then 1/10 of our population will be killed. I would rather, like, I and many here would rather see them die than us.
Of course, yes. I can see from your point of view how that would make sense. The um, battle itself. Are there any restrictions on weapons, magic, anything like that?
No, there is
So
no restriction.
you will be casting spells and such.
I shall, yes.
Okay. And how will you expect them to attack? We've heard that they are most likely to come up on boat, but with them
Yes.
being a raiding people, they are most likely spread through the village itself.
They will, yes. They have, they will most likely alight perhaps 10 miles downriver. They will unload their chariots and they will send them to various directions. And their boats will sail up the river, their chariots will ride into the town, ride into the village, and we will be beset on all sides.
And no defences have been set up as far as I can tell.
He shakes his head and says, we were punished for doing so once. Besides, they are. We don't tend to need them a great deal. Um, we don't need defenses significantly. We are physically much larger and stronger than they are. Um, and to be frank, their defenses are difficult for us to build, regardless. We would need to purchase far more labor than we already do if we were to build such a thing.
Okay. But you and your people would have no ill will against us if we set up a few traps.
I think it would be unexpected, and then I think Sovereign would find it interesting.
Hmm. Is he always watching?
It is difficult to know. Sometimes from the histories it seems that Sovereign sees everything that goes on, though I think that on balance it is more likely that he does not, and such stories are put out to cultivate a sense of fear.
But there is at least evidence that he sees events that he's not present in.
The histories are not well kept. It is difficult to ascertain what should count as evidence and what counts as myth.
Did he punish your tribe for building defenses? Did he see them personally?
You must understand, Garrick, that there are 15 separate accounts that are written, none of which agree with each other.
Of course. Um, hmm.
In some, Sovereign, once the defences were completed, Sovereign descended from the skies and put the village to the torch. In some, the other tribes arrived in order to do Sovereign's bidding for him. In some, it was a spy that set fire to the village. The only commonality between the stories is that Sovereign took a disliking to the defences we built and decided to destroy the village.
Okay. Well,
I'm sorry that I cannot give you more rhyme and reason than this. But I think that, again, based on the histories, that Sovereign simply enjoys us not to have the certainty.
yes. Dragons themselves are cruel and malicious creatures. But I think so far the majority of our group does wish to help. You have shown us much kindness, and will do what we can to repay it.
Yeah, he nods and says, "Do as you will. Though I encourage you to discourage your Zitai from hanging around the orbs."
Of course, I'll speak to him. I think I've taken up too much of your time, and I'll leave you to whatever you were doing before. But thank you.
Yeah, he nods and says, "I have I've got to study some spells for the day, but thank you."
Yeah, then I'll leave.
Yeah, he like as you leave, like he reaches up, like takes a like a stack of leather papers almost, and then starts studying the writing on them, memorizing spells as wizards do. Okay, so I guess at this point, Rewi has met up with the charcoal maker's son.
Yes, hopefully.
Oh no, you were going to what were you doing? You were going to go and find Zitai, weren't you?
I was going to find Zitai or Garrick to see like if they could help me. Um, I have thought now that adamantium hole punch is going to come in really fucking handy.
Holes in leather with that, yeah. So you like. I guess you'd probably find Zitai first, as Garrick is inside.
Yeah, so I guess
I
I'll
guess
turn around.
Zitai's coming back at this point from the gathering area.
So I guess I'll walk up to Zitai, basically go, right, I've got all the stuff to make some bellows, to make a furnace, to make some sky metal for these people, but I don't know how to put it together.
Which bit?
The bellows. I don't know how to make a needle.
Come on. Might not need to. I've got an idea.
I'll like lead you back to the yurt and go, look, I got all this. I got some charcoal to like the furnace, but like I don't have leather working tools.
So as you say that, as you're talking about leatherworking tools, over Zitai's shoulder, um, you can just like you can see the river going off into the distance, and just on the horizon, you can see a set of deep blood red sails coming over the horizon.
Yeah, Zitai's just zones Garrick out. You can see the eyes just like no, 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 and then he's just gonna yell "sails on the horizon"
Okay.
as loud as he can.
Okay, so it's about time for our intermission. So with the raiders arriving, we're gonna break to go and grab a drink, grab some biscuits. I encourage you all to do so as well. We'll be back at about 20 past. We've been the 5e Frontier, and we'll see you in a little bit. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you're all sitting comfortably. I hope you've all grabbed a drink, grabbed a snack. It seems that sails have been spotted on the horizon coming up the river. It seems that the raid has arrived. Rewi and Zitai, that's it. Rewi and Zitai were having a conversation when they spotted these sails coming up the river. Zitai shouted, called the alarm. As people stop and get up on their hind legs to kind of like look to peer over the horizon to see they find that they also see these sails. People they scramble to readiness, as it were. Over a period of like a minute, it goes from a kind of a lazy like early afternoon to but everybody's rushing around, the people bustling here and there, grabbing things, moving things, battening down the proverbial hatches, as it were, ready for this raid. What are you two gonna do?
Well, at the moment we've been told to help out as best we can, so I'm gonna look at Zitai because I'm not like used to fighting people.
Back to the go grab your equipment. Anything you're gonna need in the fight.
We're at the yurt, I believe.
We were wandering that way.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, yeah.
I'll run to the yurt and start collecting all my things.
Sure. That's fine. You run over there, like you gather up your things, your bow, like your knife, whatever, whatever you're gonna fight with. What's it I doing?
He's jogging with and putting on his cloak of billowing because he'd taken it off for the general wandering around. Like now he's in like full uniform. Like the jumpsuit is entirely zipped up. Like he's in full like uniform, like just stretching mostly.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. Um, so this would be happening just as Garrick is leaving. Like about a couple of minutes after you left, Running River's yurt. Um, at some point, you just see like you'd hear a shout of sails on the horizon, and then people start running around. Then there's not an air of panic, but more of an air of like nervousness. There's a nervous edge to the proceedings now.
Yeah. I'll follow suit. I'll get into like a quick jog and head towards the to go pick up my stuff that I need.
Right, I guess you get there about the same time as the others do, or at least Rowie does. Is Zitai heading to the yurt?
Yeah, because he's got to get his cloak, and he's
Sure.
also gonna pouch up some of the ash from the fire last night.
Okay.
Mostly so it can be used as a distraction,
Yeah.
like throw it at someone in the middle of the fight.
Yeah, you got a pocket full of ash. That's fine. You may add it to
Yeah.
your inventory.
Yay!
You have pocket sand. So yeah, Garrick arrives. The others are preparing. Um, the Calidus is nowhere to be seen right now. He's wandered off somewhere, attending to some Calidus business.
What about little drummer boy?
Yeah, he's kind of sitting in the yurt. Like, he's looking around. Like he can sense that the mood's changed, but he does. He's pretty chill.
Stay here. Stay safe. Pass him some fruit.
Yeah, he'll like take the fruit, look at it, look at you, and he's like start eating the fruit.
Ruffle his hair.
Sure.
Right. The locals have made it clear that they don't want us too close to the tree. They don't trust us enough for that. Let's go pick a border position. If it looks like people are breaking through too much, we'll fall back to the tree, defend them as best we can.
Well, I think unless you can stop a chariot, we're going to be falling back pretty quickly.
What sort of chariot?
I was just told a chariot. People are very cagey with these things.
Actually, yeah, probably can. Well, he is something that yay long, quite thick. Ram it in the spokes of the wheel, if the wheel has spokes, and tear itself apart.
Well, you can look for that while we're on our way, I guess. I'll pick up my auto bow, kind of sling it over my shoulder, and head on out.
Yeah. So where are you guys headed? It's looking around. At this point, the lions are like they're grouping up. All the lions are fighting age. They seem to be grouping up into groups of like between 5 and 10 by the look of it, and heading out to the outskirts. Some of them are positioning themselves like dotted around the village as well, kind of dispersing through it.
Can I see Running River?
Give me a perception check.
Okie dokie. It's just 12.
12. You don't spot him in the turmoil, in the roiling mass of lions.
Okay. Yeah. I guess to the outskirts for now.
Sure.
Keep an eye on the tails.
Yeah. So are you picking a point on the outskirts that's by the river where they're going to be approaching, or are you picking, or are you going to try and intercept chariots rather than the boats?
I think I'd recommend the river here. We'd get more information on if they're heading for the tree that way.
Sure thing, boss.
How close together are these yurts? I'm just wondering if I climb on a roof of one, am I going to be able to jump from roof to roof?
You'd be able to jump from roof to roof about half the time by the look of it. Like, they're not particularly closely spaced to each other. It seems that there's not really much like planning that's happened, and the village does seem to be quite spaced out. So it's not ideal roof running terrain, but you can kind of do it in some places. The low gravity helps.
Yeah. Right, I think, Garrick, I'd be more useful as a scout slash shooting from the rooftops.
By all means, I'll give you a leg up myself.
So I'll like climb up onto our yurt's roof and go. I'll head in your direction when the fighting kind of starts, but I'll be a scout for these people. At least I can see what's coming.
Of course. Keep us informed if you can.
I will be shouting.
Yeah. I guess Zitai and God, it's one of those nights tonight. Zitai and Garrick, I guess head along the river.
Yep.
Sure. So yeah, you two head along the river. It seems like there's quite a few lions by the river, and they've got it seems like a number of them are climbing into the long canoes that they have. It seems that they're going to try and meet them on the water as well. Rewi, at this point, would know it. You'd be keeping an eye on the sails, but then at the corner of your eye on the left, you can see sails on the horizon.
On the left as well.
Yeah, there's no river on the left. That's just the plains.
That's weird as fuck. I'll shout out that there's sails on the plains. Like, I'm pointing in the right direction.
Sure. As you do that, you can see some groups of lions mobilize and move over to that side of town. Over the next few minutes, few seconds, you can see these vehicles, these chariots, come over the edge of the horizon. You can see that they are anywhere between 20 and 40 feet long, these chariots. They have a single mast in the middle of them. They're set up kind of like a sailing ship. It's got the deck of a ship almost. But there's no hull. It's just the deck and then some scaffolding framework and then wheels. There's some. It seems that hides and textiles have been thrown, have been stretched over the framework in a lot of places, so it's kind of a contiguous object. And you can't just get under there, at least not without hacking through the hide coverings. But that seems to be what you're dealing with here. The wheels have long scything blades attached to the center of them, which whip around as these vehicles move. They're perhaps 7-8 feet long. These scything blades. If anybody caught in front of this, in the path of these blades, is just going to be chopped to bits. Just with the amount of momentum and speed these things have. You can see standing at the at the stern of each of these chariots, and there are a few of them. You can see that there is somebody on a wheel to steer it, presumably. And you can also, and there's not one of these on everyone. On 1 in 3 or 4 maybe of these chariots have a second individual standing on the back of them. And you can't make out any details of these people. They're just black silhouettes against the horizon right now. but you can see that they have their arms held upwards. The sails are filled, but it's not that windy a day.
I wonder what that is. But yeah, I'll kind of let everyone know the movements of these things. Kind of just like shouting it out, and as soon as they get within like far too close, I'll start running away bravely.
You're like looking at it. You've probably got about 5 minutes before they make contact with the outskirts of the village.
That sounds cool. So I'll give it till they're like a minute away, so I can start kind of getting into a more defensive position where Garrick and Zitai are.
Sure. That's fine. Like as you can as you just like as you wait until they're about a minute away, you can see in some places prides of lions jumping out of undergrowth and attempting to board the ships as they fly as they shoot past these chariots. They seem to, by the look of it, they've got specialized kind of gauntlets on almost. That they seem to be almost like metal claws to make their claws more sturdy, and they're able to bite into the wood by the look of it. And they're using them to scale the edges of the chariots. As you watch, you do see that occasionally they just misjudge the jump and end up in the scything blades attached to the wheels. Those ones don't get back up again.
Shit.
But they are able to board some of the chariots, and you can see that they've broken out into fighting on the decks of those chariots as well. You would note that also there seems to be two major types of chariot. There's the really, really big ones, the 40-foot long ones, and there's smaller ones about 20 feet long. Along the edges of the decks, they've got two rows of people. The first row have these really, really long pikes, lances almost, that they can reach out up to 20 feet away from the ship, and they attack with those lances. They seem to be single-use items. These lances they break when they contact something. They're not designed for you to hold on to them. Like you run something through with the lance using the momentum of the chariot behind you, and then you drop it, and then somebody hands you another lance. The second row of people have bows by the look of it, and as the chariots are bombing it into the village, they're taking shots. They're taking kind of pot shots at people. The lions who are trying to defend their village. You can also see there are a number of individuals on these chariots that have these kind of like flaming balls in their hand that they're throwing onto they're getting ready to throw onto the yurts to set things on fire by the look of it. So they when they arrive, they mean business. I should also note, as they get closer, I think Row is perceptive enough to pick up on this, but the people on these chariots, they don't seem to like the humans you've met so far have been quite homogeneous in their ethnicity. These guys aren't at all. There are some people of the same ethnicity as Musaid, the Malak people. There are some of those there. There are some of the very light-skinned people that you saw a couple of in the village. There are even some Yoruba lions aboard these chariots that have cut off their manes, and they've shaved significant chunks of their bodies by the look of it. But the other island people, the sea people, whatever you want to call them, they seem to be a much more diverse bunch than the groups you've seen so far.
Interesting.
Yeah, now that they're this close as well, you can see that clothing-wise, they're quite minimalist. What they're wearing now seems to be a combination of wood and bone armor, with like large squares of wood attached to the shoulders. almost as large as shields for in some cases, though the archers don't have those. Um, the lions that are with them, obviously they're wearing similar armor. Um, the humans have tattoos, quite significant tattoos, covering good chunks of their bodies, in like these spiraling, curling patterns. And the lions have similar patterns cut into their fur.
Interesting. So, like, having seen all this, as I say, I will start to flee, like, towards Zitai and Garrick to let them know what mayhem is approaching and that I'm pretty sure we weren't expecting this sort of mayhem.
Yeah, that's fine. So, Garrick and Zitai, you guys were by the river. Um, you can see that there's a couple of groups of lions, like they're preparing to shove off the shore in boats. One of them looks at you and kind of like gestures onto the boat.
I look at Garrick pleadingly.
I mean, yes or no?
Please.
I'll
Yes.
just nod. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
nod to Zitai.
Yeah. Zitai will run up to the side of the boat with a nod, like ready to shove off and swing in.
Sure. What's Garrick doing?
Screw it. I'll get on the boat as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, have we just broken one of the cardinal rules of D&D?
No, I'm gonna
Never
say.
get on the boat.
Yes, yeah, never got on the boat. Yes, as I think that's one of Spoonie's, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, the two of you hop on the boat. I think for convenience, we'll say that Rowie catches up at about this point.
Good.
Yeah, you see them getting clambering into a boat filled with lions. The boat is perhaps 30 feet long. It's a canoe, so very thin. But there's enough room inside it for two lions to sit side by side, so that'll be enough room for four people to sit, for four humans to sit side by side on bench seats. Though the bench seats are they're not designed for humanoid physiology; they're designed for lions. So they're it's more just like some back support coming out of the floor, with like a cut down the middle of it, so you can get your tail through it.
I'll like, yeah, if I've seen both of them getting in the boat, I'll get in the boat. I will start regaling them with what I've seen so far.
Sure.
Yeah. Do you want me to do the regaling?
Role playing game.
Oh no. So there's massive fucking boats with massive fucking like blades on the wheels that like are slicing lines apart like really easy. There's archers, there's mages, there's wind blowers, this is a lot more violent than I was expecting for two tribal people wars.
They're fighting for their very survival. It was always going to be brutal, Rowie.
Like, why can't they just all get along?
Because that's
Yeah, be
against
a
the spirit
dragon.
of the game.
I really don't like this game.
No. Like, Zitai says no, but there's something in his body language that says that he's really looking forward to this.
All right.
Everything in in Rowie's behaviour is, this should never happen. What the fuck is this?
Yeah. So Rowie's homeworld, Tovali, is it's so hostile to human life that the people who eke out an existence there, if their tribes were ever to fight each other, if they were to expend energy on doing that rather than just surviving, then they would have gone extinct millennia ago. In their version of Imperial Standard, there's a word for violence, but there's no word for war. It was a foreign concept until until Emberian explorers made contact.
This
But
isn't
it
good.
seems not to be a foreign concept here. The boat you're on rows with some rapidity, as it's got 20 lions rowing it, who are very, very strong. Um, they've attached their paws to the oars using similar attachment systems that they use to put their hands on. Um, and they start kind of rowing out into the middle of the river to try and like meet these ships that are coming. There seems to be three of them. Two ships that are oncoming seem to be reasonably small. Like you'd think that they're kind of like they look like river boats. They're kind of like low in the water. They're quite long, perhaps 60 feet long, and half that wide, perhaps. And each has two sails, two masts with sails. The other boat is larger than the other two by about double. It has three masts, and it stands out of the water quite significantly. Like it's got a couple of decks out of the water. Um, the overall design of these boats, it wouldn't. I think it would seem familiar, perhaps to Garrick. Some of the northern kingdoms on Thoray make boats that look a little bit like this. They're called longboats. Though these are taller, they have more decks than is traditional for a longboat. You'd normally just have one deck and then below deck for a northern longboat on Thoray. But these are much bigger.
Okay. Would I have any idea of how to like board them properly?
Climb up the side. There's
Okay.
no real easier way unless you can go like you can smash through the side perhaps. Um, it seems that like looking at it, you can't like the actual construction techniques don't seem to be particularly sophisticated. If you were to try and build and operate this specific boat on Ember or Thoray, for example, it actually probably just wouldn't work because the gravity is much higher there. It's too flimsy to operate under standard gravity, but fortunately it doesn't have to. It only has to operate under about a third gravity, which is what this planet has. You can also see that there aren't really any like siege weapons that you'd normally expect to see aboard a ship of this a ship like this. Like there are no like catapults on it. There are no ballistas and stuff on it. You would have thought that those sorts of things were probably technologically speaking within these people's reach, but either they haven't thought of it or there's no need for it. The exact reason that they don't have them is unclear, but they don't. But the boat you're on is making kind of a beeline for one of the two smaller ships. Do you
Okay.
anything you want to do in the approximately 30 seconds you have before you get into bow shot range?
I mean, I need to
Get
be
low.
considerably closer, I think, for
Yeah.
my boat. So I'll wait until we're roughly 6 seconds before we get within like 40 feet.
Okay.
Then I'll rev.
Sure. Well, the archers aboard their ship have longbows.
Yep. So I'm hiding.
Yeah, and you can see it. They're kind of like silhouetted against the sky. But you can see that there's maybe like 80 or 90 longbowmen running up to the edge of the deck. Fortunately, you're not the only canoe that's rowing towards them. There's a couple of other canoes, and the canoes are quite big, so presumably not all of these 50 or 60 longbowmen will be shooting at you, but you'll need to have some sort of plan if you don't want to be getting shot at least a little bit here. There's quite a lot of them. So as I said, you've got about 30 seconds before they get into bow shot range. You can see them stringing their bows, and there's what seems to be a child, perhaps 12 or 13, like running around with little bags of arrows, handing them out.
I'm guessing none of these
Zithai
longbowmen
is
are
gonna-
lions.
Go on,
What was
Simon.
that? Sorry.
None of the longbow people are lions, are they?
No, they're not.
Damn it.
Marat?
Zitai is going to get low and try and use like the sides of the canoe for additional cover.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, if you're just lying in the bottom of the canoe, obviously they've got elevation on you, so I'll treat it as a quarter cover, so you have +2 AC. But it's not amazing cover, unfortunately.
I'm going to cast Mage Armor on myself.
Yeah, sure.
I'll use a extended spell thing, so it lasts 8 hours.
Sure.
I think so.
Thought Mage Armor lasted that long anyway.
I mean, I could double it, I think, with the extended spell. So it'll last for the entire day, basically.
Sure.
It just saves me recasting it if we get into another fight. Does it look like they're going to fire at like the full range of the longbow with volleys, or are they going to hold until we're close enough for them to have good shots?
Difficult to tell. You're not sure what their military doctrine is, if they have such a thing.
Yeah. If it looks like they're going to shoot us at full range, I'll like crouch down as well with Zitai. If it doesn't, I'm gonna rev the auto bow and start shooting when I'm just within range.
Sure.
Hopefully that will scare them enough to make them hesitate.
Yeah. So it seems. So what's Rowie doing finally before we in this 30-second grace period you have?
I think I'm going to be making myself as little as target by hiding behind the big scary lions.
Sure. And then give me a stealth check.
That had to be done. No, it's not a D30, Simon. That would have been nice. So that is a 23.
23. Yeah, sure. So Rowie melts into the background, as it were, making himself not invisible, but not a priority for the archers aboard this boat that you're moving towards. So it seems that they are going to shoot at their maximum range. So I guess Garrick's taking cover as well.
Yep.
Okay. Can the two of you, can all three of you make luck rolls? Simon, you'll have advantage on your luck roll. So a luck roll, what we're doing here is we're just rolling a flat d20. Just, there's nothing they can do to influence this. There's no skill you can have that will make you more or less lucky. This is purely to determine whether somebody on those boats decides that they don't like the look of them.
I got a 19.
Okay, Brad, you have a 19. Murat?
7.
7. Simon, with your advantage?
6.
6.
I got
Nice.
a 6 and a nat 1.
So I think we'll resolve one attack against Garrick then, and two attacks against the others. There'll be a disadvantage as they're shooting at very long range, and remember your cover bonuses. Simon, I think Rowie will also have a quarter cover, so +2 AC.
Okay.
Being as you're hiding behind a lion.
Yes.
Okay, so Garrick first. I should roll a disadvantage. So that's a 7.
Misses.
Okay, so now we have Zitai's attacks. Jeez, a 15 and a
Both hit.
16. Okay. Sorry, we roll d8s rather than d6s. There we are. So, oh god.
Can we not take the first result?
No,
Those
we
numbers
can't.
appear on a D8.
Yes. So 17 damage from two longbow arrows that thunk into you. And against Rowie, I think a 16 will hit you, won't it?
No. I'll have an AC of 18.
Sweet. So yeah, a volley, a rain of arrows, like kind of rains down on you. They're having to arc the shots a bit. They're not able to fire directly at you. But I guess Zitai just gets a bit unlucky. Like as you crouch down to take cover into like your back, you feel two spots of intense burning pain as you've been hit with arrows. By the look of it, they've not gone deep. Your uniform is, it's made of toughened material. It's got Kevlar in it. Unfortunately, Kevlar is not designed to stop arrows. It's designed to stop high-speed projectiles. So it's not fully stopped them. They have penetrated into your body, but it's not a crippling wound. They've just gone a couple of inches deep by the feel of it.
They'll match your other holes. The burn holes. You're a holy guy.
It's not the point, Rowie. It's not the point.
Yeah. So do you guys have anything else you want to do? But what's the range on the autobow, Brad? What's the max range?
320.
320.
Yep.
So, like the ships are moving towards each other, and they're both moving at quite a speed. But I think the range of a longbow is going to give them another round to attack you with disadvantage before they get into range with your autobow.
Yeah. I think I'll rev it up now. Like I'll yell to the lions, like that. This will get loud. Please don't be alarmed.
Yeah.
And I'll rev it now, and I'll stand up.
Yeah.
Sure. Make myself seen, and like just point it towards them, see if I can unnerve them a little bit.
All right. Give me an intimidation check. You can have advantage here because you are using an alien technology to this place.
Okay.
Nobody knows what this is. You've not even seen crossbows here, so it seems like they may not have even invented crossbows. Never mind engine-powered auto crossbows.
25.
Nice. So yeah, I guess you stand up. You tell the lions not to be alarmed, and you pull the cord on the autobow. You rev up the engine. You pull it once, it starts to whine. You pull it twice, it starts to roar. And you can hear the sound of the engine on the autobow rolling out over the river, and it carries a long way. There's nothing on the river to stop the sound, and it rolls out over the river. You can see for a moment the arrows stop. They're just kind of like looking at each other, like, okay, this is unexpected. This is weird. We've not seen this one before. What have the lions got for us now? And they're kind of just like talking amongst themselves, like almost not quite panicking, but more like, boss, what do we do, sort of thing. Like that's what you're getting here. Maybe like you're not sure what's going through their heads, but they've stopped shooting you for a little bit.
Nice.
Does Rowie or Zitai have anything you want to do?
So I know that the original plan was not to use blasters, but I do have a blaster pistol with some charge in it, and I know it'd puncture quite a hole in the ship.
Possibly. Blasters are notoriously ineffective underwater, though, and you'd need to presume you probably want to make a hole below the waterline if you want to sink it. If I'm following your train of thought
Well,
here.
if you hit the bow of the ship, it's not underwater. However, water does splash into it.
Okay, so you're thinking you're going to turn your blaster pistol up to 5 and try and shoot the prow of the ship when it gets in range.
That's it. So I think that's what I'm going to try and do. So I'm going to crawl to the front of the ship terrified, aiming my shot and wait for the prow shot basically.
Sure.
I'll sink it.
Yeah. So you're not sure whether a blaster pistol will have the kick to properly punch a hole in it in one shot. But it'll definitely it'll definitely leave a mark, and if you get a few shots, you reckon you'll be able to make a decent hole. A blaster rifle, you probably prefer to have a blaster rifle for this, but there's not one to hand.
No, I certainly don't have one.
Okay, cool. So Rowie's crawling to the front of the ship, trying to evade notice. What about Zitai?
he's just going to tense up, waiting for the inevitable rain of arrows. There's not really
Sure.
anything else he can do.
Yeah, like you've got 2 arrows sticking out of your back. Mostly they're lodged in your uniform rather than you. Though, they are lodged in you as well. Are you doing anything about that? Or you don't need
Nope.
to, but you're just leaving the arrows in there.
Yeah, because that will certainly strike a scene when he gets up full of arrows to continue punching people.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. You notice a few of the lions also have arrows sticking in them. But they're much bigger than you. The wound is comparatively smaller. Some of the lions look at you though, as if so what's going on here? Like this human's been shot twice and he's not gone down. If you're reading their facial expressions, perhaps the first inklings of respect might be rearing their heads here.
Oh, yay!
Other than that, though, the lions seem to be fucking terrified of Garrick right now. They don't know what's going on either. But they keep rowing because that's what they're here to do. So at this point, I think that the archers on the ship would have got their shit together. They'd start shooting again. I think, Brad, you'd be able to shoot the auto bow now if you want.
I feel like me making myself a target. They're probably going to shoot me a little bit more. So I'm just gonna keep the auto bow going, but just have it on a sling because I need a hand to cast shield.
Yeah, so you're going you got cradled in one hand, your other hand ready to cast a spell. That's fine. I think time to roll luck again, everybody. Zitai is rolling normally. Rowie, you'll have advantage because you're still relatively hidden. Brad, I'm afraid you'll be rolling with disadvantage. But you managed to avoid an entire round of shooting for everybody. So.
Yep.
Ooh.
I got 3.
3.
I got 14.
6.
Okay. So, I think Simon, you'll get 1.
Okay. This will be the nat 20.
Double that. They're not even at disadvantage anymore.
Oh no.
So it may well be. No, it's not 1.
Woohoo!
So the 2 that will be shooting Garrick. 6 and a 7, 11 and a 12.
Both for a miss.
Nice, yeah. So a few arrows just whip past you. One of them perhaps might put a hole in your cape of billowing, which is billowing out behind you. You can see some very small magical sparks around the hole as the enchantment has been damaged, but the cloak still seems to be billowing. And finally, we are shooting at Zitai. Nope, that's disadvantage. Well, an 8 and an 11. I guess the crew of this vessel. Go on.
I said whiff.
Yes.
Like they have whiffed the attack.
The crew of this vessel they're shaken by this roaring, whining noise that's coming from this strangely dressed man standing at the back of the lion's canoe. So I think at this point, Brad, you'll be coming into range.
Yeah. I mean, I'll confidently stride to the front of the canoe, I think.
All right. Yeah, sure.
And I will just, pull the trigger at them.
Yeah, fine. Are you shouting? If you shout, it fires faster, of course, as we all know.
Of course, I'll let out a scream.
Sure. So yeah, give me an attack roll.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna use my Tides of Chaos. Can I use my Tides of Chaos speech on attack? I think I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
So I'll get advantage on this.
Yeah.
Because I only have a +4 to hit. So a 16.
Yeah, I think that'll hit the crowd certainly.
Yeah. So. Oop, that's equals.
Failure.
Sorry. There
That's
we go.
new.
It's a total of 4 damage.
Total of 4 damage. So I believe, so auto bows have some special rules. Do any
Yeah.
of them apply here?
So they use 3 pieces of ammunition, but I don't believe it's 3 separate damage rolls, is it?
No, you fire 3 crossbow bolts, but you only make 1 attack roll.
Yeah. And that's that auto rule. Internal combustion, I don't believe adds anything special apart from the loud noise.
No, and need fuel.
Nope, or nothing else. It's a light auto bow.
Sure. That's fine. I believe you get to re-roll a damage dice with auto bows. I might not have been super clear in the table. That's something I'll need to look at. But with auto bows, I think it should be part of the auto property.
I can't see it there, but I'll happily re-roll it.
Yeah, that's
You
fine. That's the way
made
it's
the
supposed
rules.
to work.
You made the rules, so I'll happily do it.
Yeah, so you get to roll twice just because of the sheer volume of shots you're putting down range. It makes the damage a bit more reliable than it would be with an
Yeah, so it'd be 9 damage.
9 damage. Yeah. So I guess shouting a war cry to the sky. What are you shouting?
I'm just gonna scream at them.
Yeah,
It
sure.
makes more sense. Fire from the hit and screaming at the top of my lungs.
Sure. But firing from the hip, screaming at the top of your lungs. As you pull the trigger on the auto bow, the engine kind of revs. The engine's the voice almost of the engine gets much deeper, much lower pitched as you're actually putting a load on the engine now. It's almost like a roar, a bellow of a large animal as it pulls back these massive crossbow limbs. Fires, pulls back, fires, pulls back, fires, as the large gravity-fed magazine on top of the auto bow loads bolt after bolt after bolt into the mechanism. With a whistle, which is barely audible over the engine, they go sailing across the gulf between the two ships, landing in the crowd. You see like once the one guy gets shot in the arm, another one gets shot in the leg and goes down. It seems like the volume of shots you're putting out is again quite disconcerting. You would also note that there is the one of them is kind of pushing his way to the front now. He's dressed a bit differently to the others. He is absolutely covered in tattoos. His original skin color is completely unknown. Such is his skin coverage. He's wearing long braids down the sides of his head, and he's also wearing his hair in like dreadlocks down his back as well. You can see, like, you're close enough to see the whites of their eyes now, but this guy doesn't have any whites in his eyes. It seems like his eyeballs are also tattooed. His teeth have been filed into points. This guy, and he's holding like this scepter in his hand that seems to be made of leather and bone by the look of it, though it does have glowing blue crystals studded down it that you would recognize as mana crystals. They seem to be naturally formed, though, rather than manufactured, so make of that what you will. As you're firing the auto bow and shouting, he waves his hand and casts a spell. Nothing happens, though. You get the impression he's trying to counterspell your auto bow, thinking it is perhaps some kind of exotic spell that he's not seen before.
No worries.
So yeah, at this point you're getting very close. There'll be one more round of shooting to happen before before you make contact.
Am I in range of the bow shot yet?
At this point you would be, yes, I think.
Ah, brilliant. Okay, so yeah, I'll just rank it up to 5 and shoot at the bow.
Okay, give me an attack roll.
An attack.
I'll be generous and give you sneak attack damage here.
Oh, nice. It didn't see me coming.
Yeah, you're attacking from stealth, I guess.
So
It's easier to stealth with the sound of an engine behind you.
Yes, very much so. That's a 17.
Yeah, that'll hit the broadside of a boat.
Oh, man, it wasn't 17. It's 16. But oh well.
It'll still hit.
Yeah. Okay. So damage is 5d4 plus 5 plus Dex, isn't it? Plus
Yeah.
2d6. There's only 2d6. Yeah. That's 28. 28
Okay.
points of damage.
So yeah, I guess you rest the pistol on the edge of the canoe, steady it, aim your shot. You squeeze the trigger, and several, like, 5 blindingly bright bolts of plasma shoot out of the end of the pistol. It makes like this deafening bass thud whoop sound that is very characteristic of a blaster weapon. As these bolts of energy shriek across the gap between you and the target, ripping apart the air as they go. They slam into the front of the ship. It's like it has the same sort of impact as like a car hitting the front of the ship almost. Like shards and splinters of wood get thrown in in every direction, leaving smoking trails in the air. Once the smoke clears after a couple of seconds, though, you can see that you have made a hole in the front of the ship, but it's not significant enough to really slow the ship down. You think that they'd start taking on significant water if they were going through like choppy waters and the boat was going up and down a bit. But right now, the river, like they're on a river, it's relatively calm. You'll need to widen the hole a bit more if you want to achieve your desired effect.
That's no problem. I'll use my bonus action to hide.
Give me a stealth check.
That's a 14.
Sure. So yeah, you try and disappear back into the ranks of the lions, but that was a loud shot, and the blue-white flash as well would have been visible to anybody who even had this in their peripheral vision.
Yeah, I thought so.
Murat, what's Zitai doing? You're seconds away from being able to board, but the distance is still too great yet.
He is just gonna hold himself down below the side, ready to pounce.
Sure, that's fine. Brad?
Yep.
Still pulling the trigger and going
I think I think I'm going to be shot at again in a second, so I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to have a hand free. Just in case.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'll like stand back for a second, make it look like I'm recharging, so to speak. And just have a hand free.
Yeah. So when you do, the magic user aboard the ship, this shaman guy or whatever his standing is, like, he looks confused for a second, then he cheers because, mate, whatever he did, it worked. You're not shooting anymore. The people aboard the ship also cheer, but then they draw their bows and they shoot at you. So can we have the same luck rolls as last time? I think. I think, Simon, you'll just be rolling normally now because you fired the blaster.
Yeah.
You're not at disadvantage though because
that is good.
Fired. Oof, got some funny encoding there on the video. I don't know if that's coming through for you guys or it's just on my end.
Just looks like you.
Okay, good.
So I got a nat 20.
Nice.
No, you
Five.
did you? Oh, I thought it was me. Damn it.
Trying to steal somebody else's nat 20 there, Murat. Okay. So
It's because the order it came up.
What about Zitai?
Turns out it was a 15, which is still
15.
good.
Still respectable. Brad, what does Garrick have?
5.
A 5. Okay, well, Garrick's getting 3 shots by the look of it.
Okay.
So a 17, a 15, and a 22 to hit.
So my AC is 15 at the moment.
Okay.
So I'm going to cast Shield here.
Yeah.
To get up to 20, so only 1 would hit. Hopefully.
Yeah, sure. I think seeing an opportunity, the shaman aboard the ship would do the same hand movement he did before, and he casts counterspell.
Yep. I don't have access to that, so no counterspell tennis here.
Yeah, so no wizard tennis. You go to cast your spell, but their shaman does seem to know quite a bit of magic. As he casts his second counterspell, you can see there are visible beads of sweat on his forehead. He's probably not going to be able to do that again. He's cast 2 spells of the third circle, which is quite significant, and he probably can't do anymore.
Yep.
But he has pushed through 2 extra attacks onto you this time.
Yep.
Don't die. Don't die.
I mean, I very much could.
Oh, no.
I'm a sorcerer here. No HP.
15 could have been worse.
Still alive.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can hear that this guy is shrieking. He's like, this one is a magic user. Finish him now!
Okay.
As he's trying to get more and more of the archers to shoot you personally.
Oh no.
He has identified a magic user. He is standing on top of a wooden ship in a crowd, so and he doesn't know how powerful you are. Okay, so I think Rowie is not getting any attacks.
Oh, yay! That's good.
But you'll get what I think Zitai will be getting 1. So that's 22 on the attack roll.
Yeah, that'll do it.
6 points of damage.
Okay.
Okay, so like a couple of the lions are looking pretty badly injured. Like looking around, none of them have no arrows in them by the look of it. They've all got at least 1 by the look of it. There are a lot of arrows stuck into the canoe. There are a lot of arrows that are kind of floating up to the surface of the water around you as well. Like these guys they're putting out a lot of arrows by the look of it. And now that you're kind of like reaching them, you can see that like the quivers that they've been given are kind of starting to run out of arrows. It seems like they've fought this sort of engagement a lot in the past. Like they knew exactly how many arrows they were going to need, how long this was going to take for the distances to close. It seems like both sides, at the very least, know what's going on here. Like the lions knew they could survive the barrage. The people on the boats knew how long it was going to take the lions to get here, so they knew how many arrows to distribute. Everyone seems to know like how this goes almost. But at this point, you there's a thud as you like it's almost jarring. Like you don't really slow down when you make contact. You just kind of like go into the edge of it. A couple of lions on the side of it, on the side of the canoe, they slam paws into the side of the boat with their like metal claw, with these metal claws that they're wearing, to kind of drag you to a halt very very quickly. So it's kind of a lurch, and as they do so, at that point you can see all the other lions who were rowing affixing climbing claws to scale the side of the boat. You can see above you there are humans with long spears, like leaning over the edge, getting ready to try and stab the lions back down. And you can see, okay, like there are also archers up there as well, ready to lean down and shoot their bows. What are you guys going to do?
Garrick, make me an opening. Scream and start climbing as hard as I can whilst raging.
Sure.
Yeah. How close are they?
So they're maybe like 25 feet up. Like it's reasonably high.
Yeah. I'm gonna cast
No, I
Scorching
think they're
Ray.
more like 15 feet up. Because you're going,
15.
they went for one of the smaller ships. So yeah, they're about 15 feet up.
Okay. How many of them can I get in a 15-foot cone?
Like they're all clustered around where you are. So like you could get like the whole swarm, probably.
Cool. I'm gonna cast Burning Hands here at them.
Sure.
I can cast this once without consuming a spell slot due to my heritage as a tiefling, but they need to give me a dexterity saving throw.
Okay.
The DC is 14.
So they have a 4 on their saving throw. I'll be running the crew of this ship like a swarm, and I'll also be running the lions like a swarm, just for the viewers reference.
Nice.
Just
So,
50 different initiatives.
yep. So they take 11 points of fire damage.
Yeah, sure. Like you see one guy, he like leans over, like bow drawn, at exactly the wrong moment, just as you finish your incantation. I guess the smell of brimstone might float out just for a moment. It like just enough for him to get a whiff of it and to understand what was about to happen before this like wave of flame rolls up the side of the ship, leaving the wood scorched behind it. Like as he draws his bow, like the flames catch his bowstring on fire. It snaps. He like falls backwards with a scream. Many of his companions are no better off, having caught a face full of fire. Like they fall back a little bit, and it gives enough time for people to make progress up the side of the ship a little faster. What's Rowie doing?
So this hole in the inside of the ship kind of thing, can I climb through that?
It's probably big enough to climb through. Yeah. You're kind of pulled up to the side of the ship though. Like you fired at the prow of the ship, then
Yeah.
gone past it, and then you slowed down. You could, in theory, there's nothing stopping you, kind of like jumping in and swimming round to the front of it though.
Yeah, but it's not advantageous. I guess I'm going to have to climb. Yeah, if we were near it, I guess that would be the best idea. But yeah, I'll just climb up the ship.
Okay. So can I get athletics checks then from Rowie and Zitai? Zitai will of course have advantage as he's raging, and this is a strength check. Unless you guys have any specific climbing gear that you're using, like the lions are.
Nope.
No, brute force and ignorant. That's a nat 20 for a
Nice.
25.
Cool.
Mine's a 17 for 17.
Okay. So the two of you start climbing the ship. The lions climb as well. I think of everybody here, Zitai is actually the fastest up to the top of the ship. I think you'd even get there so quickly that the readied spears, like they've retracted a little bit because of the fire. Like they're just getting back in place, but you were quick enough to be able to get behind the spearheads before they were ready. So you're able to like climb up and jump onto the ship if you want to. That would place you personally in the center of all of them, though.
Yeah, right now, like Zitai essentially has one brain cell, and it is pretty preoccupied with just screaming.
Sure.
So yeah, he's going straight to the top. He'll pause for a second just to give everyone present a death stare, pick out the biggest guy, and go straight for him.
Okay. So yeah, you leap off the railing on the side of the ship. Once you get up there, you can see that there's another group of crew of this ship on the other side as well, doing something similar. Seems like one of the other canoes is pulled up on that side. You can see that the sails are not filled right now. Presumably, the magic user that was filling them has, he's you can see him nearby, kind of on the other side of the crowd that you've just come up to. The crowd is maybe 15 strong. They've got long spears, most of them, tipped with like large flakes of irregularly shaped adamantine. You can see like 4 or 5 of them kind of like run up to you to meet you as you jump onto the ship. What they're carrying like these wide leather shields by the look of it in one hand. And in their other hand, they have wooden batons, by the look of it. with adamantine shards like implanted down the sides of them to make a functional sword of sorts. This sort of weapon does have a name, but it slips my mind at present.
We literally had this conversation 3 sessions ago. I'm sure we did.
Something. If my like I guess Aztec pronunciation probably needs significant work there. But yeah, that's what they have as they approach you. Yeah, I mean it's on you. You can act first.
Yeah, like I said, he's going to pick out the biggest guy.
Sure. Give me an attack roll in.
For a 10.
10. So yeah, like you launch yourself towards like the biggest one that's come to engage you. He steps aside, like catches your blow on his shield. Like he staggers backwards under the force of the blow. Like seems like you've winded him. He staggers backwards, but like you're not able to capitalize on the fact that he staggered backwards because 2 more guys step in front of him with their shields locked, which gives him enough time to recover and come around the side again. Anything else?
No, I only have the 1 attack. Did we recover shield belts? I can't remember.
I don't think you've got personal force fields.
Then no, I've got nothing.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, I think that just about covers everybody. In that 20, you've got up, and you've got to the top. We'll go into the next kind of pseudo round now. I think the lions at this point, some of them have made it to the top, most of them haven't. A few of them have been skewered by these long spears and fall back into the water, thrashing around amid growing clouds of blood in the water. What would you? I think that a couple of the archers moving around to the edge. I think a couple of them would take some shots. One of them will take a shot at Garrick. I think Rewy is perhaps gonna take some attacks from spears, from the long spears as he's still climbing. And Zitai is being attacked by all of these swordsmen aboard the ship. So I think Brad and Simon, can I get luck rolls from both of you, please?
Sure thing.
See how turn their
normal
attention to you personally.
Yeah, no disadvantage this time.
No, I don't think so.
A 10.
8.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that'll be 2 each.
Okay. Cross my fingers.
So Simon is a 20, 22 and a 20.
They both hit. I can't do anything about that.
So that's for 6 points of damage in total.
Oh no.
These spears, it seems that they aren't really designed to be stabbed against humanoids by the look of it. They're really quite flexible, the spear shafts that they're using. Like when it hits you and you're wearing quite tough, hard-wearing clothing, the adamantine bites into it, but a lot of the energy of the thrust goes into bending the spear shaft rather than like penetrating into you. It seems to be working significantly better on the lions, which are bigger targets and softer because they're not wearing the hard-wearing clothing you're wearing. So it seems that you've gotten you're okay you're okay here by the look of it. So Garrick is taking a couple of the archers, continuing to follow follow their magic users' commands, are shooting you.
Okay.
So 13 and a 13.
Yeah, neither of those hit. It's great.
Yeah. So like they take a couple of shots. They're quite scared of you though. It seems that like it could be the auto, like the still roaring auto bow in your hand. It could just be that they have a cultural fear of magic users, but they don't seem to like you a great deal. And that's manifesting less as a desire to kill and more as a desire to flee.
Okay.
It seems. So, last but certainly not least, Zitai. I think it's going to be 4 attacks.
Okay.
Good luck, Zitai.
So that's 1 crit. What's your armor class?
15. Now that I don't have cover.
Sure. So 1 hit, 1 crit, and 1 hit.
Good luck on our rolls.
So that's 14 damage, which will of course be halved to 7 as you're raging.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these 4 guys, their movements are kind of amateurish. They're clearly not the best trained fighters in the world. Like 1-on-1, this wouldn't even be a contest between you and them. But there's 5 of them, and they're able to surround you, and like it's very very difficult for you to defend like all lines at once. So like every time like you shove one of them away from you, fend off a blow here, duck another blow there. One of them just gets behind you and lands you a crack in the back. Like I think you're seeing red enough that you don't really feel it more than just like an impact. But like there's some part of your brain in there perhaps that registers that you can't do this for much longer. You're just going to need to hit them harder.
Yep.
So yeah, those lions that have made it aboard, though, it seems that they're pushing onwards, forwards, distracting lots of the sailors, dealing with them themselves. Yeah, we'll go up to the. We'll go over to you guys now. So we'll start where we finished there. Marat, what's Zitai going to do?
Surprising no one, he's going to start attacking.
Okay, give me an attack roll.
Roll a
one
HQ.
for a total of 6.
Sure. So you keep stepping forwards, like you keep swinging at them, like you land a few more hits, but they always seem to be able to interpose their shields. Like you can see it, like a couple of them, like one of them has a black eye now, where the edge of his shield has smacked him in the face when you smack the shield. But it's not really enough to slow him down significantly. He'll feel it in the morning, but like he's not feeling it now. What you do note, though, is that as you step forward, like raining blows onto them, like you're not going to be able to last forever doing this, and they probably are going to get you down eventually. But they're stepping away from the edge of the ship, and lions are climbing aboard behind you.
Yes.
So like even if you're not able to like down any of them, the longer you keep this up, like you on your own have opened up a beachhead here.
I'll take that victory at least.
Yeah. So what about Rowie? At this point, you'd be able to use that beachhead. You'd be able to climb up onto the deck of the ship now, I think.
Okay, so I'm going to get on the deck of the ship. I'm going to look around for the magic user.
He is standing just beyond the edge of the crowd that's like packed up against the railing of the ship to repel the boarders. It seems like he's splitting his time between directing both groups of people defending the boat.
Okay, so I'm going to coat my arrow in my spider venom.
Sure. Now we shall see if it works.
Now we shall see if I hit. And I'm going to shoot him and hopefully take him down.
Sure. Give me an attack roll.
Right.
Would you like to do anything with your bonus action before before you make this attack roll?
So the bonus action is to unfortunately apply the poison.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Yeah, I can't hide first, annoyingly. Otherwise, I certainly would have. So my dex and proficiency is +6. Fingers crossed. That's 16.
16. Okay. So that you draw the bowstring back, you loose the arrow towards him. He turns around like just in time to see it, but not in time not in time to move out of the way. It seems that the arrow, like, there's almost like a rippling around him as the arrow penetrates whatever like magical protection he had and like punctures his skin. Looks like it's mage armor perhaps or some variant. But you're able to penetrate it. Roll your damage.
Right, so damage. I've got no idea what the damage is on this.
It's a short bow, so it's a d6.
D6. Okay, plus dex. That's 5 points of damage.
Okay.
And then it says, DC 14 con save on normal poison. Or take 2d8 and become poisoned.
Is that like
That's part of my poisoner thing, but I don't know what your neurotoxin does.
Yeah, so you've applied the spider venom and
Yes.
not like the poison you get there. The spider venom right now doesn't seem to be doing anything, unfortunately.
Right, okay. So I'm going to move to a place I can hide next time.
Yeah, I mean, you could clamber down onto the deck and just duck down, like hide behind like the massive melee in front of you. Like the lions are bigger than you can hide behind them. You can see that like there's there are like some piles of ropes to your right, presumably for like rigging and things. And to your left, if you like ran out onto the deck a bit, like there's a hatch that leads below decks that you could hide down if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'm not going down a hatch. Well, that feels like there'll be more enemies down there. But I'll hide amongst the ropes. So
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
like get some distance away from me and the attackers as well, basically.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to hide capital H.
Yeah.
But I guess you'd be able to get down and take some cover there.
Yes. Well, that is good. That is needed.
Okay. Yes. Brad?
Yeah. Is the prow of the ship that I'm on raised slightly? Could I climb that to see onto the deck of the enemy ship?
It's like the end of the canoe is raised a little, but probably not enough to be able to just see onto the ship to like just from there. You'd need to climb up at least a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I'll start climbing, I think.
Athletics.
I could chuck you
Yeah.
a rope. I'm near them.
Yeah, I mean, if you see me do it, by all means.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd probably be a bit more than an interact with an object, but a bit less than a bonus action to just throw the end of a rope over. So I think it's something you could do next turn, perhaps. But I think your turn was packed enough as it is.
Okay, no problem.
Can I still see the archers, actually? The two
Yes,
that
you
shot
can
at
see the
Dawson
archers,
shot at
yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
like it seems that they've got like the main pot of arrows in front of them, and they're just drawing out of that now.
Yeah. I think I'm going to cast a spell at them then instead.
Okay. What are you
I'm
gonna
going to cast Scorching Ray at them, so I get 3 rays of fire that are 3 separate attacks.
do?
If I can hit one with each, that'll be fine.
I'm treating them as a swarm, so your damage will be spread efficiently.
No worries. So spell attack. So that's 21, a nat 20, and a 22.
Well, all of those hit, Brad.
Wow.
So
Wow.